The two of you, what an eye-opening experience. I am a big Christian, and I did not know the majority of the material inside this documentary.
Wow.
You're the person that we made this film for, because there are so many Christians, devout Christians, and who are represented in the film that talk about this danger of this political movement of Christian nationalism. And so it is meant for you and everyone who will hopefully start having a discussion about what Christian nationalism is and how dangerous it is, not just to the democracy, but also to Christianity itself.
The way that you open up the documentary with the reminder of what took place with the insurrection. I mean, first of all, how did you get that much, or get permission to get that much information on there? Because it seems like over the past few years, we haven't had any of it. And now you're stepping forward saying, hey, here we go. And I'm going to introduce you to some people here that say that there is no such thing as separation between church and state. That was so haunting.
Yeah, it's a terrible trend. It's a wave that's happening around the country. It's a part of a concerted effort of the Christian nationalist movement to try to write Christianity into American law as the national faith. And I think, it's more complicated than that, because it really is. The first thing everybody has to understand is that Christian nationalism is not itself Christian. Doesn't have much to do with Christianity at all. It's really a political ideology that uses the rhetoric of Christianity to as a source of strength. Because if we can convince Christians that this is the appropriate way to express their Christian faith, then we have a lock on a huge portion of the population. And if we can convince them that the agenda is God's will, then we've essentially given them permission to really do whatever it takes to make sure they enact their agenda. And that's really what was at work on January 6th.
You plant some very big statements inside this documentary, one of them being, if they aren't a majority, they'll strengthen the minority. And that in itself right there, I'm going, wow, that's happening here in the South. That is, man, it's happening everywhere.
Yeah, the majority of American Christians, don't want to be Christian nationalists. They don't even necessarily believe in this agenda. But it is when you can create such a tight devotion of a very small but very concentrated voting bloc, and you can be very effective. It's a very highly organized, well-financed operation. You can be highly effective at activating those voters in a country where the other portion of the electorate is not that focused on these issues and is not that focused on the vote. You can control the electorate with a very small portion of the population, and that's what they're showing us right now, is how easily that can be done.
For listeners, it opens up with the question, and it starts off with the showing all the different steeples, and then you're wondering what kind of people study inside those steeples. And that right there was such the hook of a song, basically. You had me hooked at that moment.
Yeah, well, that's what we try to answer in the film, which is are the people who are devout Christians, who are of honest faith and go to church and pray and believe in the teachings of Jesus, are those the people that are in these churches, or are there people who are being swayed by a political movement and swept up by a political movement that goes very far afield from the teachings of Jesus? Who are the people in the church? And it turns out there's both, but this very strong movement is pulling many Christians away from the teachings of their faith.
Yeah. It reminds me so much of when Moses was sent to the top of the mountain. And when he came down, we've got all these false idols around here, and somebody needs to put their foot down saying, stop it. And this is kind of like what that is. It's like, hey, look at where we are. We're all in this, and we've got to get together and get rid of these false demons.
Definitely. One of the goals of the film, I would say, is definitely to, I think we've lost our way a little bit as a country politically. I think that we need to get back to sort of core principles. And I think that's true both core American principles, really want to reconnect people to the virtue, a celebration of the separation of church and state. This is an American innovation. And what it's done is it's allowed religion to flourish in the United States. the separation of church and state is good for religion. The best way to keep religion thriving is to keep the government separate, have a secular government. And simultaneously, we really want to reconnect people with what is great and beautiful about Christian faith that has caused it to be the largest faith tradition in the world, that has done immeasurable good both to people, individuals, spiritually, and created these wonderful institutions. Those institutions are crumbling right now because it's really not clear how the political agenda that this Christian nationalist movement represents is really fostering the core values of the faith.
What you guys did in this, Rob, is fantastic in the way that a question would come up. For instance, like the quote, God's people are awake. And then you explain it to us. I mean, as viewers, it's like something comes up, we're in shock and awe, and then you peacefully explain the situation.
Yeah, and we have some of the most respected, devout, conservative Christians who are, as I say, respected in the community, talking about that. You don't want to take my word for it. You don't want to take Dan's word for it. Listen to the people in the documentary who are talking very specifically about what this movement is doing, not just to the country, but to their faith and how it is, perverting the teachings of their faith.
Yeah. God and country. It's for everybody to see. Thank you so much, you guys, for bringing this forward so we can create the conversation and continue the word.
It's at the Aperture in Winston-Salem, starting on the 27th, and opens nationally. Go to our website, godandcountrythemovie.com, to information on local theaters.
Excellent. Be brilliant today, you two.
Thank you. You too.